This is a $10 FPV wing I bought used, and in this video I'm gonna destroy it, tape it together and throw it into a bush. I'm incredibly slow at building RC planes. For those of you who watched the Mustang video, you know that took me like more than a year to finish that plane, which is not normal. That should take like a couple of days. If I continue at this pace, I think I'll die before I finish my next plane. Introducing the plan. This is Bob. Bob is a FPV equipped Flitetest Arrow that I bought off of some guy for the parts. All of that for 10 bucks. He's been in my room for like 1 or maybe 2 years at this point because I've been procrastinating. I would be taking him apart either way, so why not do it in a more fun way? I'm gonna give myself 2 hours to get this plane in the air. Let's look at the list. First, I need to change the XT30 to a XT60. I want to remove all of the FPV gear since I'm probably gonna crash this plane. Figure out the CG, choosing a propeller. The hatch is completely broken and the battery doesn't even fit inside the plane. The wing fences are not attached. I think we'll see quite a lot from these two. The clock is ticking. Let's get going. Okay, removing a connector. Now this is normally pretty straightforward, but this guy must have been an Italian or something because it was a spaghetti mess. I cut open the heat shrink, dabbed the connector with the soldering iron and sent the spaghettis free. Next up was removing the FPV gear. I started off real gentle and trying to get the camera out with surgical precision, but then I realized that this was the exact thing that was holding me back. I'd much rather have fast but wrong sometimes than slow and never finding out. So with that in mind, I ripped off the foam and yanked the camera out with just a little bit of carelessness. To get the VTX out, I first needed to free the antenna mount, which did leave quite a hole in the wing, but I could then remove most of the glue and push it back in, freeing the VTX. With only 2 wires left, it was time to put on the XT60. When it comes to soldering, I don't really know what I'm doing in general, and the last time I tried to solder a XT60, it was quite a headache. But this time it actually seemed to work out pretty well, of some reason. Bob had pretty much everything electronics wise, but I had to add a battery and receiver. Connecting everything up was actually the first time I got to test Bob. Up until this moment I had no clue if he was even working or not, but lo and behold, he was flapping with excitement. Having exposed wires this close to each other is a little dumb, so I took some tape and solved that problem. The hole in the wing? Duct tape. Plane falling apart? Duct tape. I pushed the receiver into the wing and then started looking at the flappy parts. The rudders were not really centered or even, which I at least tried to fix. Then there was this bend on the push rod, which I at least made a little better. Next up was choosing a prop, and I didn't really want to use my brain at this point, not that I knew which one was best, but I took a white one since I had more of them and I was pretty certain this was gonna end in a crash. The wing fences were glued on and then it was time to figure out the CG. Now, according to the build video, the plane should balance on these 2 dots on the bottom, but my plane is painted, so those are gone. I did however find that the article for the arrow has the CG described as a length from a known point, so I did 2 markings 44mm in front of the firewall. Lastly, I repurposed the not broken part of the old hatch to cover the front of the plane, which worked out great, but it felt a little bad having a big hole right behind the battery, so I took some duct tape and made a fantastic hatch. At this point my 2 hours had passed and I drove over to the field. The only thing left to do was the CG. The plane was definitely tail heavy, but I brought 4 screws, a AA battery and duct tape to sort that out. In the end I went for 3 screws in the nose, which felt pretty okay. At this point it was tipping forward about as much as it did backwards, but I couldn't really get it to balance on my fingers. I don't remember being this unsure of the Mustang CG, so maybe wings are harder to balance, I don't really know. I'm also gonna throw in some clips of this amazing plane my friend built. It's basically 2 triangles, 2 elevons and a motor. It's incredibly simple in a good way, and the way it flies makes me smile, so it's in. The motor was spinning, the rudders were running, it was finally time for Bob to fly. This plane has no gear, which means it has to be thrown into the air. This is normally pretty straightforward, just imagine it's a big paper airplane, punch the throttle and throw it. But because of the propeller placement, I'd either have to lose a couple fingers or start applying the throttle valuable seconds after those annoying 9.82 gremlins pulling it down. But there is another way. Cool wing dudes usually use a so-called wingtip launch throw maneuver, or WLTM, very official, where they grab the wingtip, throttle up and discus launch the plane away. It looks crazy, I'd never tried it, and so it was decided. I don't know if this was a serious attempt or not, but it was terrible. Triangle Man decided to help me throw it, and I'm just gonna be quiet for this one. Just before it exits the frame, it's banking through 90 degrees, pointing at the ground at 2.5 meters. When the plane comes back into frame, it's flying. Yup, I saved it. That were some crazy reflexes. Yes, I almost crashed it into the field right after, but it's flying. To my surprise, I could actually control it pretty well, but it was not flying straight at all. It was constantly rolling right and trying to pitch down. I had to apply so much trim that I maxed them out. I think Bob wanted to crash. Oh, and the sound. It sounds like an annoying mosquito after 5 cups of coffee trying to break the sound barrier on its way to Mach 4. It's great. This is half throttle.
Alltså... Jäklar!
Also, the rates of this thing were pretty crazy, especially the roll. But as a certified A4 pilot in DCS, I can handle that no problem. Although a little sketchy, I could steer Bob around the field pretty well. The only thing left was the landing, and since he doesn't have any gear, I decided to just aim for the bush and fly it all the way into the ground, which worked out great. And there it was, Bob flapping his wings once again. I did manage to get him flying in 2 hours. Not well, not straight, not especially gracefully either, but I think that was pretty expected. A win is a win. I realized that I don't really have a good ending for this video, but don't click off yet, there are more planes to be seen. Here are some clips of the crazy Doritos plane in action. I don't know if this is the definition of flying well, but it definitely looks like the definition of flying fun. Another cool thing is that he added a rudder to it, so there are 3 servos on the back. No clue if that was necessary, but it sure gives some coolness points. I decided to go down to 2 screws for the next flight, since it had been wanting to die through the entire previous flight. This time I tried to throw the plane myself. Then we decided to fly with multiple planes at once. This was very chaotic and very fun. Sadly, I messed up the camera settings, so much of the footage is unusable, but here are some clips.
Jäklar! Ja, det är det. Men kanske inte jättebra byggd. Oj. Men alltså, jag kan... Okej.
Soon the sun had disappeared, everyone was happy, but I felt like there was a little too little flying in the flying wing video. So I decided to film a final flight with some real busflygning. I think I'm starting to get the hang of this whole cool guy throwing planes by the wingtip thing. First up was flying inverted, and this really shocked me, I don't know why. This is the least amount of forward stick I've ever needed to fly inverted. It's almost nothing. Now I know what you're thinking. The plane is basically identical flipped upside down, so yes, that probably explains it, but it felt weird, okay? This also raises the question of whether you're even flying inverted if nobody can see it. Like if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it make a sound? But in this case, it's if you're flying inverted but nobody can see the difference, are you even doing it? This is a full throttle climb.
3, 2, 1.
Crazy. Next up, I wanted to test the stalling characteristics of this plane. I believe this could get pretty nasty, mainly because of the duct tape, glue and the twitching servos, but I think I remember that flying wings, at least in theory, are pretty unstable, so I was preparing for the worst. But to my surprise, it stalled very gently, just dipping the nose a little, but No dropping wings, no spin. I guess this is a testament to Flitetest and Josh maybe who designed this plane. He knows what he's doing. What would happen if I push the stick all the way to the right?
Okej, roll. 3, 2, 1. Var upp. Oj.
Yes, as it turns out, it was not that easy to know which way was up at that roll rate when the plane looks the exact same on both sides. That was close. I was very impressed by the stalling characteristics earlier, so I decided to do a engine out of some reason. Here I have the stick all the way back, just steering it in with the ailerons. Easy as that.
Alltså.
Finally, I decided to fly circles around us while inverted and almost crash into the field. The moral of this video is that when it comes to RC planes, things doesn't always have to be so serious or perfect. A plane held together with duct tape can be lots of fun, and a flying Dorito may be even more fun. We need to find that out. If you like this video, then consider watching the Mustang video, or the hovercraft video, or maybe one of the old embarrassing ones. The choice is yours. Thank you for watching, good night.
And